Do you dream of writing a novel? When you feel the urgency to write a novel, you aren't making it up. When that urgency won't let go, there's a reason. Turn your readers into raving fans. Reveal the power of your voice and your story. Writing is an act of courage, and you have what it takes. How to Write a Novel That Sells by Lana McAra will take you across the finish line. Visit howtowriteanovelthatsells.net and take that powerful next step now.
Welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where you will discover tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Here you'll find new energy, new perspectives, new resources, and new ideas that will spark your creativity into a blaze of brilliance. It's easier than you think. Be sure you visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, get out your notebook, tune in, and let's get started.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to just sell your books on your own? That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Lana McAra, and welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast, tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Today, I'm delighted to welcome to our show, Kat Beaulieu. Kat is a scrappy middle-aged author and publisher of one title called Owl Music. He's a former IT professional specializing in warehousing, inventory, and e-commerce. Kat is an entrepreneur who is ditching it all to chase this one awesome tale. Produced by his two best friends with artwork, layout, and product design by Melissa Crowley. Welcome, Kat.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
We met at the Sunshine State Book Festival, and when I realized what you were doing, I just had to get you on here because self-fulfillment has been a subject that has come up time and again, and there are ads out there teaching people how to do it. So I wanted to find out what you're doing, and especially with your background in this, I wanted to talk to you about that. Although your book isn't strictly within the parameters of the fiction world, which is text only, without pictures, I still wanted to have you because I believe that what you have to offer us today is going to be really fascinating. So first of all, let's start out by talking about your book, Owl Music. How did you get that idea, and what was that all about?
It's really sort of an incredible, divine way. I was out hiking. I was working in a warehouse, and I found a great horned owl feather. When I find feathers, they have meaning. I took this feather to a meditation retreat with me, and over the weekend, the feather told me this story. It was like I came home, I had to write it down. I sat on it and worked on it for about 4 years. I read it for two of my best friends in the world on New Year's Eve last year. Their jaws hit the floor and they said, "Wait, you wrote that? How long did it take you to write that? When did you write that?" They said, "Kat, this is a legacy piece. And if you want to publish it, we want to produce it." And so that started a whole learning process of, okay, I wanted to create a book. I wanted to, at first it was just like, I'm going to create a couple hundred books for friends and family. When we saw the first draft of the artwork, I was like, let's make a legitimate first edition. Let's print 1,000 copies. And I've never done this before, but I was thinking, this is such a beautiful piece of art. And I was thinking, let's really do it justice with, printing. It's cloth bound, it's foil embossed, it's offset lithography printed. I was very clear I wanted to create a treasure. And I really believe that if you're an artist, treat your artwork as a treasure. Give it a legitimate housing. And so that sort of started me down on like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I do know how to cost source product and cost analysis, and what does fulfilling look like, what's the cost of shipping, what's the cost of importing, all of that's all in my wheelhouse. When I saw the artwork, I was like, I've spent a lot of time fulfilling other people's products. Now I have a product of my own. And from that point on, it's like I really started treating it as a product. And there's sort of an emotional disconnect that has to happen with this work that is like from your heart to this is a product that bookstore owners, that gift shop owners, they don't have that emotional connection to. And so that has been a shift, and one that I hope I'm adjusting to.
It's the same way for all of us, because we pour our hearts into our books, regardless. When we were at the festival, you had a feather in your hat. Is that the feather?
That is not the feather. What I learned from the International Owl Center, which is in Houston, Minnesota, which I did not know when I published the book, but the book has found amazing love there. It's a crossroads of really groundbreaking science in southern Minnesota of pretty heavy hitter owl researchers, and they all kind of intersect through Carla Bloom, the executive director down there. That's a whole nother story, but it's found a really loyal readership there, and that really encouraged me. I said I printed 1,000 copies. I said, this 1,000 copies, I want to find who connects with this. And I found the Owl Center, and they sell about 1 or 2 a day. And the welcome has been unreal. I'm sorry, I sort of digressed.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm just interested in hearing everything you have to say. So when you got started, now you have your product, and then you sat down to figure out what your next, your plan of action was going to be. So I saw like a list of things. So let's start off with your objectives. What were your objectives for this project, the publishing of this project?
Well, so I looked at it as in stages. The first one was we created a superior product. Then, thanks to Melissa McCarthy and her background in printing and printmaking, she was able to act as a really awesome liaison between printer and myself. Printing is an art form that I got an appreciation for in college. And so I really trusted her that printing matters. And it's a guild art. People have to train to be printers. So we costed everything out, and we said, let's do a small run, 1,000 copies. If I can move half of these, I can print more. And it was really just sort of like a small test business that now I have 5,000 copies in the basement behind me. Being at the seminar, seeing the percentage of books that move units per year might have been something I might have researched before this, but I mean, I really believe in this project, and I don't think I think anytime you produce something and produce something for sale or risk as a business, you have to be committed. You really have to believe in what you're doing. And there can't be any hesitation. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I mean, I had a good first production run. We did those 1,000 copies, we sat and we numbered, signed, and inserted certificates of authenticity into them all. And when's the last time you did 1,000 of something? It took us about 3 days.
Yeah.
But we were able to move those at a premium price point. That was the idea, that here is something that's really superior. If you want a piece of it, have a legitimate first edition. I mean, it was a Kickstarter in a way, but the product was already available.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I view the pilot project as about 60 to 75% successful. Selling them all would have been the best outcome, but I was able to move enough of them.
So you got your 5,000 print run,
yeah,
from the profit off your first sales. Is that correct?
Well, let's just say from the gross.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I mean, artwork costs money, printing costs money, importing costs money. I'm still on the project. If you take away artwork, I'm on the plus. It's the artwork that was the major expense here, but I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, she did such a great job and just was so committed and so guiding in this project. I mean, I didn't do this thing alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of selling it alone because we artists don't really like to sell things. I swear if I have to walk into another bookstore with a book under my arm and just see the look of disappointment and utter hey, I'm another author. Oh my God. And so, I mean, I'm really starting to look at real wholesale level. And because I did this myself, my cost, even with artwork, with the production runs that I have, I am right in or cheaper with artwork than digital printing. I mean, I was really sort of blown away at the Sunshine State Festival by what people are paying to have a print on demand. Yes, it's a luxury that if you only sell 3, you're not really out anything, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. I don't know how people, I mean, I'm glad I didn't know the struggle of authors and publishers before I started this. I'm sort of blissfully ignorant, but I'm learning very fast. I'm learning about marketing. I mean, the one tip that I thank you the most about is know who your readership is, know your avatar, know your person. That is, I mean, I got home and I've been sitting at my computer all week just crunching. Working on marketing, networking, all of it, trying to network into particular groups where my readership is, or owl music. I like to say that I'm the publisher of this book, as I just kind of wrote the story down. Plumo del Bujo is sort of the group name. It means feather of the owl. It can also mean pen of the owl or plume of the owl. Because this is really the feather in the owl story. It's not mine. I'm just sort of like a vehicle to throw this into the world, and I'm really heartened by the reaction that it's gotten.
Yes, and I feel like most creatives feel that way, unless you have an ego, the size of New York. We all have to admit that we get our inspiration from something like a download that comes in or some flash of insight, and it's not really coming out of us. It's something that we are bringing through, really. Even in the novel world, I mean, when I'm creating a novel, I'm tuned in. To the insights and the nuances and the relationships and the surprise stuff that happens. It just kind of comes to us. So I think that is a sign of a true and genuine creative, not just, something for you, but for all of us, if we'll admit to it. Some people want to take the credit, but that's not really how it happens.
I was talking to some people. It's like to see something from your mind.
Mm-hmm.
to holding it in your hands, it really is a form of magic. And not everybody can wield it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's this book and the production and getting this out has been very, very heavy. I mean, I've cried a lot. Oh my gosh. But I wouldn't do anything differently.
It's a
Maybe a couple
journey.
things, but I mean, it's been really, I encourage anybody to risk on your art. I mean, if you really believe in it, risk on it. I've worked for a lot of small companies and people who've started, I had one boss who started a company, he had $28 in the bank. And all these beautiful small companies that I've had the honor to work with, they all had one thing in common. They were all willing to risk on something, on an idea, on a brand, on a wallet, on this and that. I mean, but they were all willing to risk, whether they were really good at it or they weren't. They were all taking a risk, and some of them were incredibly successful. And I was lucky enough to learn from those people.
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing to be sure of is that you have a quality product. Because I know as authors, and I not only do I write, but I also ghostwrite. And when I work with clients, it seems like they're all in a rush. Like they want it done yesterday. Well, quality and rush are not in the same sentence. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah. So make sure you have a quality product. Then the second thing you said is make sure you know who your perfect customer is.
I think before that, you really need to be clear on what you're doing, what you want to do, what your vision is. I think you address it as your why. Know why you're doing this. And sometimes that is intangible. But I mean, really, before you put, well, I'm writing this for somebody else, why am I writing this for me? And that's where the real heart connection to a piece of art comes. You know, I've done a lot of things for a lot of other people, and it's the this is really the first thing that I've done just because I needed to do it for me.
Yes.
Like it's a lot of tears, man.
Yes. It gets down to where we live. It really does, because
for sure.
we invest our soul, our heart, and our finances, and even to some degree our future into.
It's not for the faint of heart. It is not. I mean, to be a magician, to wield this kind of manifestation, it's mighty. It's a mighty task.
Yes. Yes, it is. So in my journey, I started out traditionally published. And then I published a book at a hybrid publisher, and that required some financial investment. So this was a publisher that was one of the first hybrids that ever formed, and they put out a quality product that looked just like a published book and also went to all the channels of a published book, a traditionally published book. So I went with them, and that was a big investment for my family. We were missionaries overseas, 7 children. I mean, we had no money at all. But a miracle happened. We got it. I went with it, and it won the Christie Award. So that download that I had to, number one, write that book, number two, do the hybrid publishing, landed me in a position where my career took off. It was something I could have never predicted, something I'd have never planned, but it happened, right? So years have gone by now. You know, I have 46 published titles at this moment. Some of them ghostwritten, some of them my own name is on them. And I made a decision with my new book that just came out, this one, How to Write a Novel That Sells. I made a decision. I'm going to self-fulfill this book.
Oh,
So, yeah. So when I made that decision, I wasn't coming in as a newbie. This has been my career for 25 plus years.
mhm.
And here's some things that I've learned since I started this journey. Now, the book's been out about 3 weeks, I guess. I had that speaking engagement at the Sunshine State Book Festival. I've had 2 others since then. And then I had my class at the library. And I've already sold out my first shipment of 50. I've already got the second shipment of 50 in the house.
Nice.
And this is something that is so important. It is building a following.
Hmm.
Over the years, I've been out in the public and I have a name. To a degree, I'm not famous like James Patterson or somebody like that. But yet people do have a sense that I know, what I'm talking about. And so that gave me a lot of momentum in that space because the book is about writing. So being in that new place for you, then the challenge would be to create that following for yourself, to get out there and show your pictures and tell a bit about your story and how it came to you and so forth.
Yeah.
To get that momentum going. If you don't already have it, then you have to create it, right?
So I have, one of those miracles. Owl music is a fable about listening, and it's an owl teaching a lesson about listening and connecting to nature. I returned from California from the signing in a whirlwind, hey, I'm dropping in on you and laying a book on you kind of book tour. And, my initial run of sales with about 600 books left. And I got home and I'm like, well, now what? I'm setting up Amazon. I'm doing the traditional channels. But if you want to sell a book, you really need to promote a book. And you need what J. Michael Orendorff said, you need a small, loyal readership if you're on your own. My aunt called me up and she's like, did you know that the International Owl Center is in Houston, Minnesota? I'm like, I didn't, but I'll be there tomorrow. I sat through, it's a beautiful little nature center, the only owl education center in the country. I sit through their program. I learn a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I'm that guy walking into the bookstore with this book. I said, I wrote this owl book. It takes me 7 to 10 minutes to read. If you don't like it, you'll never see me again. And they're like, we'll get our director. Carla comes down and she says, just so you know, everybody and their sister who writes what they think is a cute little owl book comes here. I'll give you your 7 to 10 minutes, but don't get your hopes up.
Wow. That's a hard
I was
sell.
like, I sat down, I read it to her. She had a big smile on her face and she said, that book is very good. I am not easily impressed, but I am very impressed. They wound up taking 12. And I was like, oh my God. And, they started talking about the International Festival of Owls. And I'm like, well, what is this thing? I didn't even know this center existed. And now they love my book. And I got home and the next day I got an email from Carla, the executive director, Carla Bloom of the International Owl Center. And she said, we really loved your book. We'd like to order 60 more. And she's like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm sending it to the head of the World Owl Federation. I'm sending it to Jennifer Ackerman. And so I have a public quote from a New York Times bestseller already. And I read her book. And as I'm reading through her book, she's citing all these researchers that I know have copies of my book. And so, it's already... This is not something I planned. I'm like, I'm going to go write this book and I'm going to target the owl. I wrote a good book that is resonating with people. And if it wasn't for that interaction, I do not know that I would have pulled the trigger on the 5,000 copies, because it's like, again, that's investment, and a significant investment. And, I'm all in. I mean, it just sort of makes me believe that an owl told me this story and brought me to the International Owl Center, where Carla Bloom, her research for the last 3 years has been listening for barn owls. She has fully cataloged the vocal calls of the great horned owl, the feather that inspired the book. She's had a 28-year relationship bond with a great horned owl. While I was at the Sunshine State Book Festival, I met Mark Joseph Good, another person who had a 34-year relationship or bond with a great horned owl. I mean, it's like the coincidence with this book is finding its way. And I'm really encouraged, which is good, because, if you've ever opened a business, getting the doors open is the major part of the outlay. And so I'm running thin right now, and that's part of the risk. The miracle hasn't happened for this thing yet. I mean, it's starting, and I know it, but like you said, it's like, it's a real organic process. One of my extreme hobbies is I'm really into no-till soil, no-till farming.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grow things, you have to do something and then wait. Being creative, creating something like this, marketing into the world, you got to do something. And Tom Petty was 100% right. The waiting is the hardest part.
Yes, it's a long game.
Mm.
It's a long game. And I find that new authors, and I have people in my class who have 3, 4. One of my students has 9 books published, and they're still feeling like, that imposter feeling of I'm just making it up as I go along.
Yeah.
Which I have that feeling too sometimes myself, because everything changes.
26 books later.
Yeah, you're always making it up as you go along. But it's a long game, and people like the big names, Robert Kiyosaki, Elon Musk, all these people that we see as massively successful, they paid their dues at the beginning.
I think, paid dues or not, they were all willing to risk on something they believed in. And that's really what is different about this venture versus any other venture I've done, is like, I'm really willing to risk for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and tuna fish, mac and cheese, the whole bit. But one thing I have going for me is I've done the math. Do the math. So many businesses fail because they don't do the math. If you do the math, look at your cost of production, what it's going to take you to fulfill, what it's going to cost you to package, what it's going to, look at all of this. Every place that you can save margin if you're doing the whole supply chain yourself, and there's all kinds of tools out there that make that fairly easy. I mean, I heard somebody say, well, do you really want to be schlepping your stuff down to the post office every day? Yeah, I do. I love that. I mean, it's my favorite part of my day. Oh my gosh, I sold the book. I sold the book. Hey, I sold the book. I'm going to go to the post office.
Here I am again with another box full of books.
Right. And even printing domestically, I mean, small production runs, especially if you can forge a relationship with a printer, I like to think of the people I work with as these are my partners. This is a partnership, man. Help me out. I mean, I've got this product here. I've got a vision for it. Do you see that vision? If that person is like, no, but I'll take your money, maybe they're not the person to work for. I mean, really, that slow process is also feeling out Who's a good fit? I mean, we heard the Sunshine State Book Festival about looking for book agents. Sometimes that's like, who's a good fit? Not necessarily who's going to rake in the most money or who's going to like flash this around. Who's a good fit? I mean, what we do is an affair of the heart. So live there.
Yes. You need someone you can work with on the long term. And there we are again, long term.
Yes. I mean, if you're really committed to doing this, build it. Like every successful business I know has relationships, has partnerships with other organizations. When I first published this book, I was like, it would really be great if I had a partnership organization that would hear this message and would want to broadcast this message. I never dreamt it would be the only owl education center in the country. From there, I have books at the Alaska Raptor Center in Sitka, Alaska. I have books at the University of Minnesota Raptor Center. The bird people have really, I mean, they hear this as genuine words from the owl.
Yes, I was thinking about the museum at the university there in Gainesville, because I love to go to the butterfly museum there. It's not a museum, it's a butterfly conservatory, whatever they call it. It's got thousands of butterflies in it.
Yeah.
I love to go there. Every time I go to Gainesville, I go there. And I live about an hour and a half away. So there's a store there, and they have all kinds of books about nature, picture books, and about all kinds of different nature topics. So, and they also have a lot of other things that have to do with animals and that kind of thing. So I can see that you would have a wide open door with much more than just owl organizations.
So again, like walking in one by one into each individual store, not my jam. So what I've been looking into is trade shows that zoos, aquariums, and garden shops and gift shops or something like that.
Yes.
Like what you said was really just find where your readers are and go there. I mean, but more than anything, find where your buyers are conglomerating and try to find them there. Unless you're a big time publishing house with, huge sales wings. And I mean, it's walking books in one by one is a tough thing. And so another thing is, like, because I have margin to play with, I'm able to engage in beneficial partnerships with organizations like the Owl Center, like the Raptor Center. I mean, organizations that do good work. If they sell my book, they make some money, and that is partnership. It's like, this isn't about me. This is about us. And I can only do that because I did this myself and I'm fulfilling it myself.
Yes, such a good point, because I found that because I'm fulfilling myself, I have so much more margin to play with. Yes. Because if you're publishing, let's say you publish your book through Amazon, and you're only getting, say, 20% of the cover price, you don't have any money to play with there. You have nothing, because that's all you're going to get, and you need that. But if you're getting them at print cost, you've now got $10 or $15 to play with, and you can profit share on a lot of different levels. And I have an affiliate program where I send out links, and if people sell my book, they get 20% of the cover price. So, that gives me the opportunity to partner with people, because I'm not giving the lion's share of my money to somebody else.
Yeah. I worked for Best Buy, corporate for a couple of years in the Geek Squad, sleeper agent. Thank you. And they had to do a big business shift They were losing, or I don't know the internal, but if you go into a Best Buy, there's a lot of partnered organizations under that roof now. And that has really allowed them to survive, is those partnerships. I mean, that's what I learned from there. It's like really the people find your readership, but also find your champions. I mean, not just the people who are going to read your book, but people are going to say, "Hey, man, check this thing out."
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing is, let's talk a little bit about podcasts and about media coverage. Are you doing any? I know you're on mine, but I'm not necessarily a buyer for your book. Although I'm sure there are a lot of people that are watching who would love to have one, because we are very ecologically conscious. My readers are. So, are you doing media coverage?
So I've actually Carla at the International Owl Center in Houston, Minnesota. The International Festival of Owls is March 7 through 9. Carla has me booked for 2 readings on Saturday and Sunday. I have employed a PR person. I'm going to try to get some local media around that. And I'm going to tell on myself that one thing I grossly underestimated was ad spend. So, and advertising and networking and all of that is, I'm going to tell on myself, and it's something I grossly underestimated. I am learning the whole Amazon bid, Google bid. I've always run the back of the house. So like the front of the house, the marketing, all of that, that's all steep learning curve for me right now, but excites me. But I'm just doing small tests right now to see what really works. It's easy. Advertising is something easy to throw money at. Try to do it in as educated a way as possible. That's what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah.
There's right now there is an eruption, IRRUPTION, of owls in northern Minnesota. There's a lot of interest about owls, and I'm going to try to piggyback on that.
Mm-hmm.
And my book is really, it really resonates with people who, I mean, kind of everyone. I mean, it's a thing for all ages. So I'm dumping a lot into that, and like I said, I'm just getting the doors open. It's Q1. Nobody's spending any money right now. I mean, if you look at all the books on Amazon, they're all slashed to the bone. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get some press out of that and sell some books. And if, I don't, I'm seriously cash poor.
Yeah, I don't encourage my students to buy a lot of ads, because there are offers everywhere for ads, because there's so little return unless you are very highly targeted to your client avatar and your messaging, and that is a big job.
Even that can be hit or miss. Let's say your avatar really isn't a computer person. I mean, I'm learning that, like, okay, I targeted one way. I'm doing a small test ad spend, and if it starts working, I'm gonna hit it. But it seems the research I've done is it's a very slippery slope. Like, and then all of a sudden you're just locked in to, getting your credit card charged all the time. And do the math, make intelligent choices, and I'm going to piggyback on what you said. I mean, what you don't know how to do, ChatGPT does. And I mean, that was sort of the piece that I've kind of been brute forcing it myself. And I'm like, I have an assistant now who can pull information really, really quickly. And that was huge.
Yes.
I mean, it's sort of a double-edged sword, because there's a ton of people using it for basically creating what they say is art, but it's not their art,
Right.
But
Right.
to promote my art, it's been really great.
Yeah, promoting, getting information, getting a broad spectrum of research. Those are the
Yes.
things that it's really great for.
Oh my God.
I've seen the writing coming out of there, and it is not good. It is not quality.
No, it's terrible. And I sort of was all hyped up, and I threw out just a mass communique and like to agents. I was writing query letters, and I was doing all this, and um, you have to be careful with that. I mean, it's like really, really proofread anything that comes out of it, and really just don't. I mean, write anything that you have to submit to anyone, write it yourself. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
If you just crank it out on the AI and then give no thought to it, they have rejection, means for that.
Yes, right. So let's talk just briefly about distribution and warehousing. Where do you keep your books? Do you you hire a space, or do you have a garage?
Not yet. I have a basement. I have, I have 5,000 down there. It's a finished basement. They're off the floor. Until like I can really start ramping up distribution to any kind of level. I mean, that's just unused space right now. So, I mean, it's like I'm already paying the mortgage. So that is a covered cost. I mean, that's enveloped in my living cost. I mean, my business address is here. Let me just say, if you're not doing business under an LLC, do it. I mean, and it's just make yourself a business and start treating your work like a business. It will change everything you do.
Yes.
So yeah, fulfillment. I have it in the basement. One thing I know about fulfillment is like when you start ramping up, you can start negotiating shipping rates with the different carriers. And so like right now, Amazon can ship stuff a lot cheaper. That referral fee, that's smarts. If I can get it through my own website, I make a better margin, but still through Amazon, you can do what is called FBM. So there's Amazon FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, where you ship them your books and they warehouse them. And the longer they sit there, the more they charge you. But you get a Prime badge, and a lot of people shop. So I sent 60 books that are up there until they're gone, or so I can have that Prime badge. I also have, fulfillment by merchant, Amazon FBM, which allows me to list my book. I have a listing on Amazon. I can do all the things on Amazon. I just do not get a Prime badge. And so Amazon, it's cheaper for them to ship because they ship billions of packages all the time.
Yes.
But at the same time, at my small, my small operation, it's, my goal really to be productive in this is like, can I ship 20 books a day? That's kind of like, I'll really be humming if that happens.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it doesn't all come in a glut, but I know that works too. I mean, scarcity is a marketing tool. I mean, don't print more than you think you're going to sell, because, scarcity is a tool. I have 250 of the original, or 200 or so of the original 1,000 that aren't for sale right now. Those are mine.
Right. Right.
Those have value, and I'm hanging on to it.
Yes.
So, but it doesn't, what I saw printing on demand and versus what you can do a small production run, it made sense. Because, I mean, originally, think I was going to print a couple hundred copies, and then like we saw the artwork and I'm like, okay, 1,000, let's go. And let's really see if we can do this. And so far, so good. I don't think I would be risking it like this if I didn't 100% believe this is a classic for the ages. I don't think I'll ever have a piece of IP this awesome ever again. I'm like Lenny Kravitz with Let Love Rule. The guy will never make a great album ever again. You know what I mean? Just
Yes.
did it, and maybe I'm crazy, but it's all plan A. If it doesn't work out, still plan A.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, Kat, this has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And let me just say thank you so much. I mean, like coming into having never done this to I've been guessing how to do a lot of this, and your lecture was like, yeah, I guessed right. And the augmented information I got from you was just priceless. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm delighted. I'm delighted.
Yeah.
We're coming at the same thing from different places, which really excites me because you know things I don't know, and I've had experience you haven't seen. And so together, the conversation is really so valuable. And if you're listening today and you're thinking about self-fulfilling, I mean, go at it as a business. Do the numbers. Find out what your costs are. How much can you charge? What your profit margins are. How you can partner with people. Do it as a business plan. And then you will be more successful than just throwing something out there and not really knowing what you're doing.
Doing the math pays off. Even if your math is slightly off, when I do the math, I get a direction and a goal. And that's the value of it to me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I love what you said about thinking higher, going for the people who service the bookstore, people who have associations in the topic that you are involved with. And so you're going to the center or the conference, a locus of these people where they're all converging into one place, and you can be there and share with hundreds rather than one at a time. That's beautiful.
Well, you told that anecdote about the woman who sells 100 books at every show she goes to.
Yes.
She knows where to be. Figure out where your people group, where where those people are, and be there. And
yes.
Be unapologetic about it.
Yes, she stands in front of the table and she talks to everyone that comes in. How you doing? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of books do you read? What's your family like? I mean, she's gathering information constantly, but she's also making friends.
Yeah. I mean, and in this digital world, it's like really human connection. And we as writers and makers of books, it's still like an analog experience. That is a person to person. My book is meant to be read aloud between people, and find those people and really connect with them. Yeah. You're so good.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to meet you at the festival, but I'm also delighted for this conversation. So, what is your website? Where can people find the book?
My website is owlmusicbook.com. It's also available on Amazon, but really where you can find it is the International Owl Center. Google it. They have a gift shop. They have my book for sale. A good portion of that goes to support the good work that they do. And they make the world a better place for owls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're making the world a better place for people too.
Yeah. And writers.
And writers, yeah. We're a different kind of animal.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today. See you next time. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning into the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where we share tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Remember to visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Fiction Writers Podcast.